All right, guys, it's game time. It's week 16. It's winning
Week
season.
16.
Yeah, man. Championship weekend. It's full slate. Yesterday we did a nice little introduction for start sit. We covered the games between the Raiders and the Dolphins. We covered the games for the Cardinals and the 49ers. And we have to say we hit on that Myles Gaskins, baby. I'm gonna be talking about Myles Gaskins all day and all night because what a hit that was. Myles Gaskins yesterday, he had
Kind
84
of
rushing
saved your
yards.
chip, right?
Yeah, he was a big one because Ayuk threw up a dud, and then Gaskins, who has been solid all season, came through again, put up some big numbers, did his thing. Definitely gotta love it. At the end, he had a 56-yard touchdown run or pass that he caught. At the end of the game, I mean, it was just a wild game between the Raiders and the Dolphins in general. I think that ending was absolutely bonkers. But I think we're in store for a great Week 16 Sunday day. There's a lot of games going on. There's a lot of players that are going to be active and inactive this week. There was a couple of big questions with some big names. I'll kick that over to you, Dave. I think you have the inactive active list, right?
Yeah. So active, we got Tyreek Hill, Daniel Jones, Marquise Brown, Allen Robinson, Khalid Mack. And then inactive, we have um, Mark Ingram, Marcus Peters, and also Cam Akers. So I know that the big question mark for the Rams there is who, I've had Henderson all year for the past 2 years. He's been obviously there's been some hit and misses for me, at least from the fantasy standpoint, not being an expert, but kind of seeing some consistency from him. So I personally will be starting Henderson, even though I'm out of the playoffs. But what do you think, Taco? Who do you got? You got Henderson or Brown? If you have an option between both of those players, who do you start?
I think that's going to be a real tricky situation. From everything that I've been hearing and seeing, it's really a true toss up at this point in time. We know that Henderson has been a better, I guess, pure runner. In situations where they're just looking to run the ball short line, but we see that Brown gets used more in the passing situations. I think the last game Brown got more work than Henderson. So I think this sets up for a true situation where depending on what goes on in the game, would lead to who goes. I probably would lean slightly toward Brown just because I think that this may be a game where they're going to be passing a little bit more. But I also think that I could easily see Henderson having a good game. So it's not a
And the
clear
thing
cut.
about Henderson that I really, as I saw the past 2 years with him, I mean, those goal line touches. I mean, he's been, I feel like that's really where they use him most, where 2, 3 yard line, scoring a touchdown. So you could see easily Brown have, like you said, more passing yardage, and then Henderson with 2 touchdowns and maybe, something short gains.
Yeah,
That's my thought because that's what I've seen from him
yeah.
consistently.
And it's definitely very possible where I don't think that the Seattle defense is anything that any team really fears. And depending on just the way this game goes, because we see a lot of short passes and swing passes from golf, they work it downfield, so it's definitely a situation where you can easily see them getting Henderson getting a touchdown. But I do see that it's going to be a muddied backfield, and I would only use it in like a desperation flex situation or a situation where you're missing some guys and you need to replace them. Oh, my boy
David
Dave.
Oliver says, yeah, couldn't hit Waller in the end zone.
Yeah, last night we were watching the Raiders game and we were actually chatting about it. And
Yeah.
he needed Waller to have a big game. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, I need Myles Gaskin to have a big game and Carson to have a big game. And then all of a sudden we're watching these big plays start dropping in for our guys. And it just was like, and the crazy one was the Aguilar play at the end when Aguilar went for like 85 yards and that touchdown. We were sitting there like, what? So it was just a great game. And then the Dolphins came back down the field and scored again.
It's magic, man. It's
Yeah,
magic.
I love that they did that because it was great for Gaskins. He got the ball to him, and he did some work. But one player that we spoke about in the early part that says active is Tyreek Hill. And I
Yeah.
know earlier today I was on a start sit, and we were getting a lot of questions in regards to Tyreek Hill. And guys, just so you know, if you have any questions for your Week 16, any start sit options that you're having, please feel free to drop them in the comments. Like I said, I'm answering all questions until 12:45, even if this does end. I will message you afterwards with the answer. But until 12:45, we're taking all questions. Okay. What's your real debates? I know a lot of people were debating Tyreek Hill. because they didn't know what to expect from Tyreek Hill as he's in a limited fashion and he hasn't been practicing in full. And I say to this, it is hard to bench Tyreek Hill when he's been such a superstar for you and been such a great player when all he needs is like 3 or 4 plays in order to get 3 touchdowns and 100 and something yards. So I don't think you can bench Tyreek Hill in any shape or form. I think Allen Robinson being a full go is someone that you have to look at, making sure you plug him into your lineup and kind of takes down the upside on a Mooney. And
we got our first question. So Sanders or Carson, what do you got?
So is this full point
question,
PPR
Dave.
or is this half point PPR? Because in full point PPR, I'm probably slightly leaning towards Sanders, just because I think Sanders has great upside. I think he has a good matchup versus Dallas. I don't think Dallas is anything really that we fear, but Carson,
I know Dallas, but Dallas has had those games where I don't know why. I mean, a couple of games where they show up, but yeah, no, I agree though. I agree on that.
Well, Dallas has won their last 3 games and they're sitting at 5 wins right now.
Right.
So I mean, Dallas has been hot, but I don't think that it's not
non-PPR, by the way. Yeah.
So I think that in this situation, if you're talking Sanders or Carson, honestly, I just if you're comparing the Rams defensive front to the Cowboys defensive front, I just feel safer with Sanders, but obviously Carson is a great running back that can definitely put in work. I just think matchup wise, it does favor Sanders a little bit more. But I do see Carson as being a workhorse. So this really goes either way, but I'm probably leaning more towards Sanders than Carson just because of the matchup.
Yeah, I'd stick with Sanders on that one.
And then we got here with Keenan Allen most likely being out and Hunter Henry being out. See, Mike Williams is someone that's definitely very interesting in that game. I think that the biggest beneficiary is probably going to be Austin Eckler. I think Austin Eckler's real. I mean, if you look at some of the other games,
you've been on Eckler all year, man, and I know with him being out, he didn't really have the production you'd like to see.
But when he came back in, he played like RB1 again, except for last week, which was great because I faced him. But overall, Eckler, and then Tyrone Johnson is someone that I'm looking at. I'm playing him in some deeper leagues because he has the opportunity, especially with Keenan Allen being limited or out this week, because we haven't officially got what's going on with Keenan Allen. That game's playing at 4, but from everything that we know right now, Shefty last night posted that he was out. He was going to be out. This morning, everyone is talking about that more than like he's going to try to play. So it's a real toss-up situation there. And if we saw what they did with Allen last week, Allen was not that great. So I think this sets up a situation where a guy like Ty Johnson could be interesting. Mike Williams is definitely an interesting play. Guyton is someone that could possibly do something. And there's the tight end that came up. I forgot his name, but he came out of the XFL.
But would you start Mike Williams, replace Mike Williams with Sanders? That's the real big question I think he's thinking.
I think here it's tough because Mike Williams would profile as the number 1, but this is a non-PPR league, if I'm remembering correct, Dave. So I don't think that I would do it because it's non-PPR. In PPR, you would get me more likely to say I would still lean towards Sanders because Sanders is a stud. Let's say when we've seen him in action this year, for the most part, he's been great. So and it's not the worst matchup versus Dallas. I do think the matchup versus Denver though is really tantalizing. Donald Parham, there we go. Yeah, he's been a trending guy for the last couple of days. I've seen a lot of prop bets on him. A lot of people are expecting him. Like he's that long shot play that I'm seeing a lot of people in the industry are starting to really take hold of. To me, I personally don't know enough about him to go out on that limb, but I do know enough that he has a lot of buzz from a lot of trending and people that I look at to see what they're saying as well. So I definitely think that he's someone that and daily is an interesting play in season long. He's a desperation play, I think, but with Hunter Henry being out and tight ends being the wasteland that it is, I think that it is an upside shot. So I think that's definitely something to consider and someone that in deeper leagues or in desperation times you can possibly look at as a guy because that matchup this week, I don't really fear it coming with the Denver Broncos. Their defense just isn't that great.
Right.
Go have fun with those prop bets. Those are oh my god. I
Don't
see
tell
he
me
showed it.
prop bets in Vegas. Let's just be real. William Hill throws up all kinds of prop bets. So
Yeah, like some of these are crazy though. I think that next year I might do a couple of prop bets since I do so much fantasy that I might be able to pick what some of these players pull out. Like I think he'll
you
get
know,
over 68 yards and
over
stuff like that.
right.
So I think those are some things that we might get into some more next
I mean,
season and maybe
I put in
some
my
basketball.
parlays already for sure. So
You got the parlays in.
I
Well,
already got the parlays in.
since we're talking about all these parlays and prop bets, I'm gonna go to my weekly lottery ticket here with
Let's see
the
it.
FanDuel. So let's pull up that lineup and see exactly what we're looking at.
I'll tell you what I have. Actually, I forgot to send out a ticket that we could have tweeted on for everybody to check out. But one of our friends, Spencer,
Yeah.
he got a nice ticket. He had the Nets. So it was a $5 ticket to win 257. He had the
Uh-huh.
Nets, the Celtics. He had the Heat, the Suns, the Clippers, the Bucks, and then the Nets on Christmas Day. So it was like he hit on a few, obviously a big ticket,
Uh-huh.
pretty big win too.
How much did he win?
257 off of a $5 ticket.
Oof, those are so sweet. Those
I
are
know.
so sweet. So just looking at some of the daily prices that we have going on here, quarterback wise,
Let's look
Pat
at
Mahomes.
Dan Henderson, by the way. Let's look at Henderson and compare Henderson and Brown real quick, just to see what the difference in cost. It's got to be very close now.
Let's see here. Daryl Henderson is here at 56.
56 and 55. So yeah, pretty close. So it's really
Yeah,
not.
so
It's about who's gonna
it's
hit really.
it's really splitting hairs, and I think it's really how that game flow starts working out. Like if the Rams are able to take a lead early, like that's the big thing. If the Rams are able to take a lead early in this game, I
Yeah.
think it sets up for Henderson to carry out and be the main guy. But if Seattle's able to drive the ball downfield, get a couple of scores in, I think it leads more to Brown coming in. So it's really one of those player situations that you just have to kind of sit back, see how it shakes out, and kind of just go from there. But starting either one of them on your team, I would say that I hope that you have a better option. Um, maybe hit us up and ask us some questions if you're really going that way. One player that we know is out is James Robinson. James Robinson's been a league type winner guy in Jacksonville. So I won't even pronounce his name, but Daryl O, the backup running back over there. Not a Zigbo, but the other guy. He's someone that I think that has an opportunity versus a Bears team would be able to get some catches in, because I don't think they're really going to be able to run against the Bears, even though Cook had a decent game last week. I think the Bears are still good enough to stop this Jacksonville running team.
All
And I
right.
think that
Good
we might
question
see
from
it more
David again, by the way, Taco.
sure.
I didn't mean to interrupt you, but good question from him.
Uh,
Herbert at Denver or Baker at the Jets?
I think that's really tough, especially after what you saw Herbert do last week. I think Herbert just balled. And I think that Baker would have been more in the discussion had the whole Browns wide receiver core not been close contacted with COVID-19. So that his number one wide receiver is Marvin Hall. And you have a guy like Austin Hooper, who, if you can get him and season long and he's on your waiver wire, go get him, because he's essentially going to be the number one pass catcher that they have over there for Cleveland. But I think in this one, I'm going to say this like I was saying to everybody else: you can't bench your stars. And Herbert's been a star this year, and he's in contention for that rookie of the year. But you can't bench him. I think in this matchup, even though Baker does have a really tasty matchup versus.
I mean, right. That's the thing. It's like he's gonna probably slice up that D like Swiss cheese, if you
I
ask
think
me.
you're going to see
I
more
mean,
of it being Hunt and whatchamacallit, Hunt and Chubb, because of the fact that you have your top 3-4 wide receivers out. So you're
yeah.
running practice squad guys. So, I mean, I know that they're the Jets, but still practice squad guys. I don't think it sets you
But
up
how
in a
good
position
have
to
the
be
Jets
expecting a
been?
blowout.
You know, so to me, when you look at that matchup, I mean, Herbert's, like you said, I think, yeah, Herbert's a star. Baker's been great this year. So from the standpoint of who they're facing, and I understand that he doesn't have his main guys, you are facing the Jets, and I think you do have to consider that, in that matchup.
Yeah, I do get what you're saying, but I'm just not trusting it. I'm just not
I
trusting
got
it.
you.
And Herbert, we know Herbert has top end blow up. So he like when Herbert hits right, you're talking about one of the top three quarterbacks, and he's been doing it this season. He's coming off a hot game. I just don't even without Keenan Allen, I still believe that
Regards.
Herbert is. I think Herbert's a better quarterback too for fantasy. You know, he runs a little bit more. He pushes the ball downfield more. They trust him more. It
I
feels
can
like,
agree with that. I definitely can agree with that. I mean, Herbert's a star.
yeah,
I think
yeah.
that Baker's been balling this year too, and
And
I mean,
Baker's
it's
last
gonna
game,
affect.
he played really well. He played
Yeah,
really well versus the Giants. That was a good game. But I just
yeah.
can't like I see them getting up early and running late. Like that's how it's gonna go, and that's not good for fantasy. Like you want a guy like Herbert who could be in a grind game with Denver, where Denver could probably go touchdown for
That's
touchdown.
another great point. So see, things like that are the points sometimes people miss out on, like myself, that it might be running out late. I mean, early, which then you bring in non-starters, get them out the game,
Right.
and then we don't have any more points for 'em. So no, I agree. A grind out game with Denver may be a little bit better for Herbert. And obviously stat wise, Herbert has been, I mean, just great.
Yep. And then
So you go Herbert.
yeah, I would go Herbert there because again, like I said, even though Baker has the better matchup, you can't bench your stars, and I think he's really good. Like another player that
It's
that
kind of
comes to mind.
a kind of
What?
dab at Baker, huh? Not a star. I think Baker's been a star.
No,
I
not
mean, he's had a couple bad seasons, right? And this was his like either
not
make it or
again.
break it season.
Maybe more in real life, but in fantasy
Yeah,
football,
yeah. No,
it's
you're
a
right. You're
running
right.
team. They run. They
Right.
too much of it is on Chubb and Hunt for him to be dependable.
No, it's
Although the
great
last
points. Great
couple of
points.
games he's really started to show up, but now
Yeah,
you're missing all your guys. You don't have Landry. You don't have Peoples Jones. You don't have Higgins. You don't have Odell. So now
yep.
you're gonna tell me who's gonna make plays for you because Baker isn't someone that makes everyone in
They will also
star.
make that play. Yeah. No, you're
So
right. You're right.
and then the other guy to be looking at who's playing on Monday is Stefan Diggs. He was the guy that last week left the game with a foot injury and came into the week questionable, missed a couple practices. Everything seems like he's going to be a good to go play this week. So if you have Diggs, I would leave him in in the lineup. But if you have Diggs, take Diggs out of your wide receiver slot and put him into your flex slot. The reason why I'm saying is to take him out of your wide receiver into your flex spot is God forbid tomorrow something happens to Diggs. He aggravates the injury and warm up. Something happens and he's not able to go, and you're forced to just play a wide receiver as opposed to having the flex option where maybe there's a running back over there that you can get, or someone that a tight end. You just don't know. There's no reason to box yourself into that situation if you don't have to be, even if it is a wide receiver that you end up getting. Don't put yourself in that risking situation because if you risk it, you ask for trouble. That's the way I always
Again,
play,
great
and
pointers.
that's the way you should approach it with Diggs in that situation. Um,
Absolutely.
and so we'll swing it back to the daily side. As we as
Yeah,
they
I know
say.
you were going with the quarterback, and I asked you about the Henderson situation. I was just curious point wise as to how
Sure,
they were
sure.
looking in comparison. So,
No,
yeah, if you want
absolutely.
to keep
Totally
that from
makes
the
sense.
top.
So what we'll do here is we'll run out the daily. And again, guys, ask away with any questions that you may have. We're going to be here for probably a little bit longer. We'll run over the daily. We'll recap everything else. And I'm answering all questions till 12:45 for your start sits. As far as it goes with the week, some of these games we're not going to know about, like the 4 o'clock, exactly what's going on with Keenan Allen until then. I do think that guys like Mike Williams and Tyron, I forgot. Ty Johnson is just another guy that, if you're looking in deeper leagues, these are guys some to play. Russell Gage is someone, if he's still out there, I think over his last couple of games with Julio being out, most people probably snagged him up, but Russell Gage is a good guy to play this week. I do expect that the game between KC and Atlanta will be a game where KC will score early, which means that Atlanta is going to have to be throwing late, and that's going to open up the
That
opportunity
seems to
for
be
guys like
the
Gage and Ridley to put up good numbers today.
Yeah,
You
and
know,
that seems to have been Atlanta's MO, right? Always having to throw the football a lot. So yeah, I think great opportunity for both those guys.
hmm now the running back situation, I think it is really interesting. Some people I know were a little bit scared about Jonathan Taylor because he does draw the Steelers in this matchup. But if we look at what Taylor did over his last couple of games. He's been a really rock solid player. He's put up solid points. Look here, 17, 29, 21, 13. This is kind of like when he was dealing with his injury and it became almost like him and Hines were battling for it. And then by here, he really fully took over the job and he's become that number one running back. And I think he's more like a bell cow. And I think in this game, especially when you saw how well Giovanni Bernard played last week versus the Pittsburgh Steelers, I don't think there's any way you can bench Jonathan Taylor in this matchup. Miles Sanders was the other guy that we're talking about. Now, if we're looking here, we were comparing Miles and Carson. Miles was actually slightly ranked higher here for daily as far as costs go, but Miles Sanders I think is set up for a decent matchup. See, he draws a favorable matchup week 16 against the Colts, taking him in a defense that allowed a league high 2,265 yards on the season. So this is a team that can be run on. It hasn't been good at stopping the run. If we look 2 weeks ago, he put up 27 points. He's been a little bit quiet over his last couple of games, but we know that Sanders has big playability. He can catch the ball. He can run for explosive plays. And I don't think he's that someone that you can really sit out or not play in a game like this in your season long or in daily. The thing about Carson, because we were mentioning him earlier, Carson is facing a little bit tougher defense with the Rams. They're the number 3rd defense in passing and rushing overall. It's just a really good defense. And game log, if you look at it, he's been super solid as well. He's had his games. He's probably been a little bit more consistent than Sanders, but I still would trust Sanders this week with the plus matchup versus Carson, who's going to draw a really tough slate this week. Kareem Hunt, if you look at the pricing here, Chubb is at 9,000 and Kareem Hunt's moved up to 7,200. Kareem Hunt is going higher than guys like Carson and Eckler. The reason why is because we're seeing that all the receivers are gone, and they're talking about possibly using Kareem Hunt more as a receiver as well in this matchup. So I think he's someone that if you have him in season long, you definitely want to roll him out there. And in daily, he's someone for the money that's super interesting to play. If you look at the lineup that I took here, I took Pat Mahomes because, I mean, it's a plus matchup. I need Pat Mahomes to go off. Austin Eckler, we're talking about
him all year.
Yep, I think it's a good matchup for him. If you look at Eckler's points, like last week, he really didn't play that well. Okay, let's pull him up again. Come on, baby. There we go. All right, so game log wise, he had 9 points last week, but then he had 19 points the week before that, 8 points the week before that, 18 points the week before that. He had 25 and 16-point game. So he's been really solid. And if we go over the last 4 weeks, he's been hit.
I mean, he's been solid post his injury. I mean, he's been obviously he's had an inconsistent back-to-back weeks there. You know what I mean? No, I mean back-to-back weeks, 18, 8, 19, 9. So it's been like he's had a couple up, down, up, down, up, down.
Yeah, I mean he's been like at the very least RB2. At most, he's had his blowups where he's RB1. I mean, for the most
part, the trend, right? We're at the 18-8, 19-9. Yep. That means that the next this week is supposed to.
Yep, that's right. That's exactly what I was going to point to as well. It's like all predictions or odds on this would just lead my gut to tell me this is a big Eckler game, especially when they're missing Keenan Allen. He's not going to be there. And there's no Hunter Henry. Like this all just sets up all systems going to me, Austin Eckler, wherever you got
19 against the rush. So the Denver being ranked 19 against the rush is tells you everything right there. Opportunities right there.
Yep. So, like I said, I think that this is the game for Austin Eckler. I have Miles Sanders, and I'm actually playing. So it's funny that you're talking about Carson and Sanders because I'm actually playing Miles Sanders in daily, and I set this up before you even asked the question. I'm running Robert Woods out there. I think Woods has a great matchup. Hooper, I was talking about him earlier. Hooper and Baker have been starting to build a rapport, and this is a situation where the Jets are missing almost everybody. So if we look at his game log, his last game he scored 12 versus the Giants. He had 5 catches, 41 yards for a touchdown. He caught a couple touchdowns. For a tight end, he hasn't been that bad. He's probably like a tight end 2. But now in this situation with no other pass catchers there, I bump him up to a tight end 1 for this week. I think he offers good opportunity. I think that if you're scrambling for a tight end, he's a guy to play. I think if you're scrambling for a guy to play to be in the flex and he's available on your waiver wire, he's someone that you should be looking at as a possibility. Russell Gage, I spoke about his opportunity. I spoke about Robert Woods as well. But Robert Woods has, I think, a good shot to be really good versus this Seattle defense, which I really don't expect much from. And if we look at what Robert Woods has been doing over his last few games, he's been someone. Look, the pass ranked defense for Seattle is 32, so they're the worst pass ranked defense in the league. He put up 18 points last week versus the Jets. He had 5 the week before that, 13, 12, 24, 6, 24.
I can add to that, to be honest. I mean, right from the beginning, when we were doing some of the mock drafts, we were talking Woods, right? So, like, you brought him up early on.
I've been on him all year. Yeah. He's one of my guys.
I know he's one of their top guys too. But at the same time, when we were talking about him, it was really about their 2 top guys, and Woods really is who was standing out. For
and the thing about Woods is I was taking him as like the wide receiver 1 there, and I had a lot of like the Yahoo valuations had him a lot lower than he was, and I think he's really emerged as that number 1 that we all had hoped for. Low end 1, high end wide receiver 2, tight receiver that you got for that draft value. Definitely, I was on him early.
I'm curious on your pick with
nobody can afford that.
Nobody, no Wood shutdown, huh?
Yeah, I need that.
Not today.
Hey, that's in my big money league too. So that's why I'm rolling with Woods, Mahomes, and Washington football team because I'm running them on my big money team, and then I took a couple of good matchups down the line.
That's what I was going to ask, actually. So your defense, you went with the Washington. I know based off a budget. Who else was on that price wise?
Well, I think this is the beautiful thing about the defensive side of the ball. I had been debating what I was going to do for defense all week. I'm facing the opponent I have has the Ravens already. And I originally had the Eagles because they were facing Dallas. But Dallas has been hot lately.
They have been. I think they're going to win that game.
Because Eagles really lately have not been that great. So I just kind of came off of the Eagles pick. And then I moved on to Carolina. So I was rolling with Carolina for a second. And then I thought about it. Because with Carolina, you got to remember, Washington is going to be without Terry McLaurin. So I was like, no Terry McLaurin, no Antonio Gibson. So this should be a layup. Panthers should have a good shot. Then, boom, we get the next word in. Antonio Gibson, who I'm playing, is more than likely going to be playing and starting. So if Antonio Gibson is back, who we know Antonio Gibson at the end of the season, this is a good matchup here, and he's expected to play. And Antonio, and remember, Washington is playing to try to get in the playoffs. They are very, very close to get a playoff spot right now, and this is definitely
they win.
Yeah, so this is definitely the opportunity that they have to make it in there, and they're gonna run him. So
what job they did over there, I would say. I mean, that team going to third stringer, and I know their third stringer was Alex Smith.
Alex Smith is out again. Now you're back to Haskins.
Right, Haskins. No, I know, but I'm just meaning over the season that Riverboat over there getting an opportunity to turn that. Turn that franchise around. And if they get into the playoffs, I mean, on his first season there, I know that the NFC division is just trash, but the fact is one team has to get in. And of all the trash teams, I mean, for him to turn that football team around is pretty cool to see. Being a Giants fan, I'm hoping they lose. So I was really curious
I actually hope that Washington. I'd rather have Washington take it than the Cowboys or the Eagles.
How can you be a Giants fan and
would you rather the Cowboys win the division or the Eagles?
Well,
I honestly think from everything that I've seen as a Giants fan watching this team, we need another playmaker on the outside. This team, if we make it to the playoffs, we're going nowhere fast. So honestly, I hope we don't make it. I want a decent enough pick because there's a couple of really good wide receivers in this draft that you could pair up with Daniel Jones and with Saquon Barkley, who will be back next year, and with Evan Ingram, that I would much rather, and I'm a Giants fan here, I would much rather not make the playoffs this year and get one of those upper picks and get
You're
a
right,
big
because this year is really not a year where I see the
we
Giants sneaking
expected
in.
it.
Or,
Yeah,
we expected a season that was going to be,
yeah.
not a playoff
I'm
year.
happy with
That's
what
for
we
sure.
got actually. Like we show promise. We show that we're getting there. Now it's like let's get someone that can make some plays at wide receiver because right now we can't move the ball unless we're running it and Daniel Jones running it or the running backs running it. But let's face facts. There is no one that's getting downfield and
But
creating
here's the thing.
separation to get the ball.
So here's the thing, right? I mean, you got Washington at 6 games, so they need to win out to win, right? Do they have the tiebreaker with Dallas?
I think with Dallas they do. I know they beat them on Thanksgiving.
So really, it's just about the Giants can win the division if they win.
Yeah, I mean today we get Baltimore. That's going to be a tough one. Baltimore's been hot.
Right, but does Baltimore have anything to play for?
What?
Does Baltimore have anything to play for?
Absolutely. Baltimore's in the playoff race. They need to keep winning.
Well, it's the last game of the season, so it's keep winning. Huh?
This week and next week, 2 more.
Sorry, yeah, week 6. See, that's how crazy it's been for me with the Christmas time, thinking it was week 17.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're right. They're 9-5. I thought they were already in. So
No, they're fighting for that last spot with Miami. That Miami win was huge for a lot of reasons.
It was.
Definitely a lot of reasons.
I mean, Miami being 10-5, that's crazy.
Yeah, that game I thought that game was lost. They kicked Oakland went ahead with 30-something seconds and that pat like won the play with the pass interference with a face mask was just ridiculous.
Do you think Fitzpatrick gets another job somewhere else or?
Yeah, definitely. Pick one. Cleveland, Carolina, Houston, Rams.
Let's see.
I would pick Cleveland because they're facing the Jets.
I would definitely go Cleveland. I mean, I know you kind of debated Carolina right now when you were talking because they're facing Washington.
Honestly, I really once I heard Antonio Gibson was back, because to me, Antonio Gibson is a top 10 running back play this week. I at that point, no, I came off it real fast. Once I knew that Gibson was back, no, I didn't want any part of Carolina.
I mean, it's a pick on
Washington.
What's the over on that game? Let's see what the books has got that game.
That no look pass was insane because his whole neck was completely the other way. It's like even Mahomes said it. That was the best no look pass ever by Fitzpatrick. I don't know how he got the ball downfield, bro. His whole neck was just like this.
I saw that.
It was just crazy. It's just crazy.
It's magic. I said Fitz magic all day, man. I love watching. I feel like the grit. He just defines like an average. I mean, he's nothing average, but I'm just saying in general, like he's the guy you want to root for. You know
what I feel like. I feel like I wish that Dallas traded for him because I think that Dallas, their team wouldn't have gone that far down. They would have won the division, and I think
I gotta tell you, Taco. And again, I don't mean to interrupt, but the thing is that you over here early in the season when Dak went down, I can't let you live that down. You said there would be no downward progress on Dallas with Andy Dalton. That they would be the same team with Andy Dalton. No. I have hopes.
I did say that. I did. I thought that Dalton would have been a lot better, but then again, Dalton had dealt with a lot of his stuff too. And if you look at it, Dalton right now has them on a winning streak, and if they could win their next 2 games, they'll be at 7 wins. And if Washington loses.
You're still really giving yourself a chance to like make save face on that comment.
Dallas can still make the playoffs.
That's not a good analogy.
If they make the playoffs, is that much of a drop off? If they make the playoffs, it's not that much of a drop off. Because what? Dak makes the playoffs. He makes the playoffs.
We know what we're talking. We're talking about productivity here. We're talking about productivity.
Playoffs, I'm still right.
No, you're not.
If they make the playoffs, I'm still right. You know,
these are the battles. I'm sorry, guys. These are the battles. I can't let Taco live down. You know.
What we'll do quick as we land the plane, as they say.
I'm gonna give my 5-teamer that I got at the end of this one too, so that give you what my 5-teamer pick is.
As we end with the defensive teams right here, right? I did end up with the Washington football team for my main league, and I didn't expect them to be available, honestly, because Washington has been playing great defensively, and they have a good line. Okay, but if we look at their points, they scored three last week versus Seattle, 23, 3, 15, 12. By that same token of logic, they are probably due for a really good game this week. They're playing for their playoff lives. They know they get 1-2 more wins. They certify themselves as a division winner and that they will take it home. So I definitely like Washington. I think Baltimore and Cleveland, these are the top three for sure, with the Bears right there. I don't trust Houston versus Cincinnati. I know that's a good matchup. Rams versus Seattle, that's like playing with fire. Pittsburgh threw up a dud last week versus the Bengals. The freaking Bengals threw up a dud versus the Steelers. So I'm not going to suggest or recommend them. The Colts, I mean, this is going to be a great football game to watch, though. I'll tell you that. The Steelers versus the Colts, like, this is going to be good football. I think this is going to be a fun game to watch. Eagles versus Dallas. This is a make or break game for each of these teams. Just based on the schedule that they have coming up, they both end with NFC East teams. So if the Eagles could somehow win this game, and then Washington somehow loses, it opens up a shot for them. Same thing with Dallas. Same thing with the Giants. If the Giants somehow miraculously pull out this victory, it definitely gives them a shot at the playoffs. So I think that these are all things that, we definitely got to look at, and it's going to be an interesting and fun football Sunday. Everything I think after this is just really real football games. Then daily fantasy is pretty much kicked in, and I don't think we're doing anything for the week 17 football people. So I think this might be the last start sit that we're gonna do for this season.
That doesn't mean though we won't be talking basketball. I know that
we actually have a show in the works for basketball that's going to be a weekly show as well, like this. Giving you content, giving you some breakdowns. We'll cover some DFS on there as well. But that's definitely going to be coming. And something that I have that I tried to do last year, but I didn't get to execute. But I'm definitely going to execute this year, is I'm going to do fantasy football in recap. So we're going to recap each position: wide receiver, tight end, running back, quarterback, and we'll go over the top plays and the not so top plays, so you kind of get a sense of what happened in this past season. I think that's a good theme with New Year's, as we do all these countdowns and all this other stuff. I think that'll be some good content for you guys, and that'll be exclusive to YouTube. So make sure you give us a subscribe on our YouTube page at the Daily Sporting.
For sure.
We're going to have a lot of that content on there. Maybe I'll cut some bits and put it on some of the other platforms like Twitter and Facebook and Instagram. But the main house for all this year in review stuff will be on YouTube. So that's definitely coming up. But before we wrap this up, Dave, let's hear that teamer that you got going on. Was it 5 team?
So I got a 5-teamer going. As a big Giant fan, it's kind of hurts me to put in that pick. David, thanks for the shout outs and the questions, bro. We appreciate it. You're the man. So for the 5-teamer, I got the Browns -6.5 versus the Jets. I think, like you said, if they get up early, it'll probably be a blowout game. They might end up winning that game by a couple touchdowns. That's what I think on that game. Sure. So I really like the Browns to win that heavily. Plus, I'll take the points. Then I got the Texans -7 versus the Bengals. I know the Bengals came off of a good win, but I really like the Texans to really continue to play strong. I mean, we know Watson, and you've been talking Watson all year, but it's because he's played great. And I think he's going to have another great game. I think he's trying to put a stamp on why he got that big deal. And games like this is where he needs to show out. And so I'll take a -7. I know consensus after the Steelers had such a bad game says go Colts here. But I'm going Steelers. I'm going Steelers. I'm not going the points. I think it's a -2 line. I'm just going to take them straight up, because I think that if it might be a close game, especially after what, they had to endure last game. So I like the Steelers. Then we got the Bears and the Jaguars. That's an easy one. I like the Bears to win that game. But here's the thing. Trubisky to have -8 points with the Bears, no thank you. You can't count on the Bears to really show. Well, here's the thing. The Bears they started off great. They had, obviously, Trubisky started. Then they put in that. Go ahead. What do you got?
Oh, no. You're making my point for me. Keep going. They started off with Trubisky, and they took it. Then they put it back in, and then they started winning
again. No, good point. Listen, obviously, Foles got hurt too.
And then the other thing that we have to remember with this, Montgomery has been blowing up. Here's the reason. I think they can cover.
That's the thing. -8 though versus the Jags. It is a point spread versus the Jags. I think they can cover, but the reality is that I don't trust the Bears to cover. That's
Here's
just
one
what
last
I think.
here's one last tidbit that I'll put you on that one because I know I'll let you finish up. But
No, go ahead.
Robinson is out for the Jaguars, and he was their number one running back and player. So losing their number one player, I don't really even see the Jags moving the ball, especially when the Bears know with the loss
They
that
have
the
had some
Cardinals.
stink up games. I mean,
Remember this with the Bears, with the Cardinals
let's
lost to
do
the
it.
49ers. If the Bears win this game, they control their own destiny for the playoffs. So that defensive team will play their ass off today. The Bears defense is someone that I definitely think will have a great.
And that line moved. It was at 8 points. Now it's at 8.5. Listen,
See,
Taco, this is why we do this, right? So here's the thing, live and in conversation. Let's switch up that. Let's take the points. Fine, let's go -8.5 with the Bears. Add that and replace it with my straight up on the Bears. And then again, as I was gonna say with the Giants, it really hurts my heart to say this, but we know that the Ravens are a much better team. So the line is 9.5. I do think that they're going to win by at least 2 touchdowns. The Ravens have played really great. So that's what I got in as a $5 parlay. That kind of switched up a little bit because I'm going okay with the points. So that's going to be a $122 ticket. And guys, I think that's a pretty solid pick. We're not going anything off too crazy off the rails. I think those threads are very easily winnable. Like me and Taco just debated. If you do a little bit of your homework and you know your lineup and you already do great at fantasy, a lot of these things might come natural and easy to you guys to get a small parlay ticket. So that ticket's in, man. That's official. William Hill, thank you.
Shout outs to William Hill. We'll be looking for some sponsorship contracts in the future. We'll be coming for you.
Come on, William. Yeah, you get enough of our money, so let's go.
When you do your first daily lineup program into your betting app, when you finally get there, because that's where you're eventually gonna go, holla at us. We'll do a show for y'all.
Shameless plug. Subscribe.
Oh, and definitely shout out to the Vegas mom and all the support that they have over there. They've been having some big giveaways. So I know a lot of our viewers have little ones. It's definitely a good thing to check out. You're gonna see a lot of things.
Subscribe to the Vegas mom.
And she has a blog that's really good. She does a lot of giveaways. So if you're into that kind of stuff, definitely check it out at the Vegas Mom on Instagram and Facebook, right? Same name and the same website name, right?
Yep, she is launching a YouTube channel soon, so we'll see how that goes. But yeah, no, definitely thanks for the support on her end, and definitely check her out because she does do a lot of giveaways. Different family events and different things that are not just local but nationwide.
Yep. So on that note, we're gonna land the plane, as they say. It's been a fantastic season. I have been so grateful for all the support and for all the questions that we
started it, and we had to end it together.
Yeah, and I definitely have to say that this year definitely opened up my eyes to all the possibilities that are available and the ability to help so many people like get their championships, win their leagues, get that next step. Like it's a great feeling, and I look forward to doing more of it. I know that for basketball, I'm going to be putting together something that will be similar. Same thing for baseball. And then obviously football is the bread and butter. So we'll make sure that we'll have it set up. The website is near completion. So we'll be able to have a better catalog of everything and be able to get you guys a little bit more in-depth stuff. And we'll be figuring out as we go. But I definitely
we appreciate the guys, like David asking tons of questions. We appreciate people like that who have been very supportive from the beginning. I know our channel is growing slowly but surely, right? And we've been able to do Taco, has been doing a lot of content. I think we're going to be doubling that up or tripling that up. Come 2021, there's really going to be a lot of full-time focus from both sides and from Ricky and all of us, because you're going to see a couple of things that will surprise you guys that we're going to be putting on together to really grow the channel. So definitely subscribe, guys. Down the road, I'm sure we'll do some partnerships. So for sure.
We'll definitely get some giveaways coming up eventually. That's going to be one thing that I definitely want to start doing is getting you guys some stuff. But obviously, we have to start, crawling before we can walk, and before we run, we can walk. But
tell a friend about the channel. Tell a friend. Some of you guys that are big supporters, we appreciate just a small Just share, that things like that are what's cool and make us at least little but surely. We get super excited when we just see one person follow. And, if
Yeah,
we can shout you out and answer your questions, Taco does a great job at doing everything he can to get you the inside scoop on some of those things that actually cost money. So, yeah.
and the last thing I'd like to say is with with the season and with everything that we've done, I think it's really given us an opportunity to show you guys some of what we can do. But I'm also very interested to hear what you guys are looking for, what you guys feel like you need or want from the channel in order to help you reach that next level. The whole reason why this channel was created was in order to give you guys an opportunity to win more of your leagues and to do more in your leagues and to reach that next level in your leagues. That's the reason why I do it. I don't do it to be braggadocious or kind of say, oh, I'm this fantasy football master, because a lot of times they tell you it's real toss-ups or
Yep.
this is just a little better situation. So at the end of the day, let us know what you guys want as far as content, or what you need, or what you're struggling with, because that's the kind of content I want to make. So this way I can help you guys, like in basketball or baseball or football, get there. If you want me to do a special segment on just waiver wire, or if you want just a weekly, before the week kicks in on Thursday, do the start sit so you can ask your questions before you set your lineups. Guys, let me know. And we're very flexible, and we try to do what's best for you guys, because at the end of the day, we do this for you guys, for the community, to help you guys win your leagues. That's the point.
Yeah, and really also even from the standpoint of think outside the box, like we did a couple of the picks, right? We did a last minute kind of like where's our money at, right? If you
Yep.
use some of the educated conversations we just all had about stats and everything, it might help
Yep.
you win a couple big tickets. We got both coasts covered here with East Coast on New York and me in Vegas. So there's a lot of things we can cover there, guys. So if you want us to cover more of those bets, or if you want to show on where are the odds or how the lines are moving, whatever
Yep.
the case may be, we got the inside scoop on a lot of those things. I know a couple of
Yep.
guys at William Hill. I know a couple of guys, just regular guys, nothing major, right? But where I go place my bet, I know the guys. They'll tell me there was a 10,000 laid out, or I can
Yep.
see that there was a 10,000 laid out on wherever the money's
Yep.
at. I have conversations with these guys that go 13-1 in contests and win big dollars. So I'm not saying that I'm the inside
And
guy
you have a lot
at
of
all, right?
friends
But
that make some crazy bets and win too. So it's
yeah,
not
yeah,
like,
absolutely,
you know,
absolutely. So
so
a
it's real
lot of
life
those
stuff.
things I can just give you that information and you do with it what you will. You might have a better scope or landscape than I do for sure, but at least knowing that stuff I think helps us and helps you, which is I think what the end goal of the daily sporting is.
And one thing that we were really rolling with before, and we're getting back to it, and we're literally created a whole separate thing for it, is the fight game, UFC.
Oh, big time.
Dave is very much in the know with the UFC, and followed it religiously, I would say. And every main event, I don't think there's been a main event that you've missed since you moved. So we definitely we're big into that, and now we made a separate channel just so that we can focus on this fight game. So it's like, if you just want to talk about fight and see what's going on with that, we're gonna have a whole atmosphere and build that whole community up just for the fight game and for those fight people, because that's what we're passionate about, and we want to get more people that feel as passionately about that together, and we build something of a community that we could all be proud of. And on
Absolutely.
that note, I think that we have reached the 12:45 hour. I think it is
The
time to get
witching hour, as they say in the
football.
red zone, where losses become losses and wins
And
become
when
wins.
now it's time to settle into that nice cozy spot, pull up a couple of drinks, and
That's right. I
we're
already
either
popped
gonna
mine.
cry
Toast.
tears of
Cheers,
joy
guys.
or pain. Tears are
That's right.
coming either way.
Cheers, guys. Subscribe, and let's have another great week, and definitely stay tuned for 2021. Doesn't mean we're gonna stop making content because start sit it's over. Hey David, thank you, brother. We appreciate you, man. Mad
Same to
love,
you,
mad
man.
support.
Same to you.
Good luck and everything.
Good luck to
But yeah,
everybody out there.
yeah, for sure. We'll be doing one or two probably before the new year for sure. So, all right, guys, take care.
Peace.